So let's talk about the process of the Two of Swords tarot card. I've been scrolling through my phone's gallery one night and I found a 3-year-old picture of myself that I actually loved, but the memories of it left quite a bitter taste behind. I posed for this shoot, which I hired a friend for, who never actually sent me the pictures. All I was left with were phone images and videos that another friend of mine took during the shoot. I had pulled the Two of Swords tarot card previously, which I chose to be the next card to be painted, and when I saw that flower blindfold on my portrait, I immediately thought that this image is supposed to be my reference image for the Two of Swords tarot card. The original card of the Raider Waite Tarot also portrays a blindfolded woman who is not able to choose between two swords, and even my pose with the head tilted away from the flowers just suggests indecisiveness, which perfectly fits into the Two of Swords narrative, right? So I decided to start this tarot card with a study of the photograph and work the concept on top of it. I was so glad to finally have found a way to turn my luck when it comes to this image, because it just made me always sad thinking about it. I avoid doing value studies because they bore me to death, so I went into bad girl mode and painted straight in color. I'd like to have the option to redesign the dress, so I make sure to paint the entire body naked first. And since I'm painting my own body, I didn't need any additional reference to fill in the... As I paint the study, I see the opportunity to replace the flowers with swords, as the hands are already pretty much perfectly placed. When painting the dress, I make sure to paint it on a separate layer, so I can clip on a different color in case black just doesn't do it for me. I want to stay close to the symbolism of the original card, which includes the sea, the rocks, twilight, and the moon, of course. I also don't want to lose the flowers, as I believe they add a nice eye-catching hue contrast, which will probably come in handy when composing the image. My many years of summer experience on the Croatian coast made this one easy on me too. The rocks feel so familiar, they feel like home to me. I went with a white dress instead of a black one because it helped with the read, and the original lady also wears a white gown. I have to make sure the rocks are placed in a dynamic flow and pull the audience into the image while also constructing a shape that doesn't cut into the lady's silhouette. I have to experiment quite a bit till I find something that just feels right. My reference image has pretty strong lighting from the front above, which doesn't really match the dim twilight scene I was aiming for. To circumvent this issue, I decide to have the moon as my main light source in front and above her, and have its shape reflected into the sword to keep the moon visible as a symbol. The flowers with their strong hue become a great eye catcher, so I place them underneath the swords to lead the audience's eye. I want the viewer to notice the swords in blindfold and then the cleavage first to make the key conclusion which card we're looking at. After some consideration, I add brightness to the background. However, unfortunately, it does feel a lot like moonlight, which I don't want. And I'm assuming it's because of the circular lighting that I have sculpted around the clouds. I do still want the moon to be in front of her, as it is the only sensible reason to have a strong natural key light on her body. Also, I really don't want to lose the moon's reflection in the sword, as I think this is a great idea. So once I fall in love with an out-of-the-box idea, I bend myself back over to make it work, even if it would be just simpler to stick with the old-fashioned classic way that was already established in the tarot card anyway, in the Raider Waite one. I like to play around with gradients and set the right mood color key. It makes things just look way better immediately. I still feel that the lady's face and body are too bright, so I try to lower at least the highlights in value, if not even also the midtones. I add a rim light especially to the dress to help define her figure. The more I paint the background, the more it seems like there's a double moon situation going on. So I find a reference image that feels cloudy yet lit up with lighting, so I try to replicate this feel of charged air. Once I have the general lighting and tone down, I dare to render my objects more into detail. I try to go back to the idea of foam on the lower part of the image and paint the upper part of the painting dark, but after asking around on my stream, I stuck with the initial idea. I didn't like the simplicity of the dress. I felt dressed way too innocently for my liking. I wanted to show off some cleavage and maybe some tearing of the fabric to accentuate the distraughtness of her situation. That would imply that she's been through some shit and would make the choice obviously a more difficult one to make, whatever the choice may be, right? I thought it would be a nice idea to make her look like she got stranded after her ship had wrecked. but that would distract too much from the original narrative, so I dropped the idea. I was told by Julie to try and pop the character more with a rim light, for example, so I gave it a shot, but the longer I looked at the rim light, however, the more I felt confused by the lighting direction, as it didn't seem to make any sense anymore. So I introduced sunset or sunrise as a light source and tinted my rim light in a warm hue to at least justify a strong light coming from a new direction. I'm still battling with the rock composition, however, and end up coming back to an old rock formation. Also, doing lace design is honestly harder than I thought it would ever be. I do like the greenish vibe of the image, which is dotted with warm glowing oranges and yellows and reds. So now with the warm hues being introduced, the scene feels real and hopeful to me. Also, the fact that she's moving her face away from the light illustrates the need for wanting to be kept in the dark over a certain matter. Perhaps even choosing to be in the state of hopelessness is easier than bearing the pain that making any choice might bring. This is a huge part to the meaning of the card. That's why she's blindfolded in the first place. I hope you found my content to be useful. Let me know how you feel about this painting or the process of making it in the comments below. You may even leave a thumbs up if you aren't big on the written word.